What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gablim, and the Prophet himself, Mr. Maui Yap. Welcome back to another UAAP episode right before the start of season 89. Today is going to be a very special episode because we're going to do another preseason preview or season 89 preview. We're going to talk about Gab's top 10 players for UAAP season 89. So Gab came up with a list. Maui and I are going to comment if we agree or disagree on Gab's list. But before we go to our top 10 UAAP players, I am very happy to announce that we are once again partnering with Get Blued, one of our sponsors from last year. Gab, would you like to explain?
Yeah, so as you all know, Varsity Lifestyle and Get Blued sponsored our podcast last season 88, and they are once again sponsoring the Boleros podcast in season 89. And they have a new line of shirts that they're coming up with. So they have the sixth man line of shirts, and they also have the one Ateneo line of shirts now available. And if you want to get 10% off your order, just use the code Boleros upon checkout in all caps. Boleros in all caps upon checkout to get 10% off. Okay? So, to all the Athenians out there who are going to support the team and they need our support, don't forget to cop some of these shirts from Get Blue, the well-established brand in the Ateneo community. In addition to that, to those who want to purchase some varsity lifestyle or some Team Ateneo shirts, the links to their online stores will be in the description below. And same for those stores, you can get 10% off your order upon checkout if you use our code Boleros. So there are other merchandise from other schools in varsity lifestyle. I believe the LaSalle Championship shirt sold very well last season, and a lot of fans got the benefit of their discount code from Boleros. And you can still use that same discount code to get merchandise for the upcoming UAAP season. Right? So don't forget, Get Blued, Varsity Lifestyle, and Team Ateneo all have 10% off courtesy of Boleros.
Yeah, and by the way, so lahat ng schools covered, 'di ba? We have varsity lifestyle. So if you are planning to support your team for the upcoming season 89, please get your school merch from Varsity Lifestyle Co, Get Blued or Team Ateneo. One last thing. Hindi pa namin nakakalimutan yung isang guy na nag-comment na kapag mag-champion yung Lasal, bibili siya ng 10 t-shirt using Bolero. So,
Caps!
ay,
Caps!
caps from Boleros. So we're still waiting for that
Pwede pa.
order.
Pwede pa
We're
humabol.
watching you. We're
Pati
watching you.
championship shirts ng Lasal, pwede pa ihabol. I think
Pwede
it's
pa,
still
pwede pa.
available on Varsity Lifestyle.
Pwede pa. Okay. So let's get started with our top 10 UAAP players heading into season 89. So obviously, we're doing this right before the start of season 89. This list could change in the middle of the season, by the end of the season, but we're talking about the top 10 UAAP players heading into season 89. Gab, you made the list. I'm curious where you went here. Gab will go through his list. Gab will explain, and then Maui and I will react to Gab's
Oh,
list. Saan ka magsa-start, Gab? Are you starting with 1? Are
from
you
number
starting with
one.
10? Okay.
From number one, and then all the way down to 10, and then I'll name some honorable mentions.
Okay, sounds
Uh,
good.
yeah. First, I'll explain how I conceptualized and did the ranking. So I accounted for a lot of things. So for one, this is not top 10 MVP. So MVP is a totally separate discussion because who I think is the best player for the upcoming season might not really be my favorite for MVP, as I've mentioned in our last episode. Diba? So it's very different. I took into account the performance from last season, their upcoming role in their team in the upcoming season 89, their talent level, uh, the team around them, how I think they're gonna fare in the standings. I also took into account of that, and just how they played and how they're gonna play. Right. So their impact on the team, whether they're very important to the team, their leadership qualities, whatever. So I took all of that into account. So in saying all of that, my number one player for the upcoming season 89 has to be from the De La Salle Green Archers, the cool cub, Jacob Cortez. I think some of you guys will have him at a similar spot or maybe a spot below, but I think having him here at number one as the best player so far heading into UAP season 8 and 9 is warranted. We just saw him become the best player on the De La Salle Green Archers when the injuries to Kian Baclan and to Mason Amos, and even to uh, Makalalag, um, came in season 88, and Jacob Cortez just took on that number one option role. He carried LaSalle for majority of season 88, and even when it was the big games, the last elimination round game against Ateneo, hitting that clutch shot, the two final four games against NU, taking over in both games, and if eventually in the finals, who could forget his pull-up three over Francis Noruca and Raylan Torres in game one of the finals. This guy is clutch. The offense is going to revolve around him. He is the most important player on the defending champions, the De La Salle Green Archers. Um, they're going to need him on the floor for majority of the game. I doubt that Coach Topex can have Jacob Cortez on the bench for extended minutes in indefinite yung in close games. So I think he'll have a hard time yung pulling him off the floor. His minutes are gonna be up. His shots are gonna be up. As Maui said in our last episode, the ball is just gonna be in his hands all the time. Um, you saw his importance even in last season when the UP Fighting Maroons chose to do a box in one with Jacob Baila on him in game two. That's how big of an impact that Jacob Cortez has. And to add to that, not only is he a terrific offensive player, he's also not a bad defensive player. I would actually say he's a very good defensive player. He's not a lockdown
Underrated.
Yeah, he's not a Jerry Abajano type, like a lockdown defender who can shut down his man just by himself. He's not that guy, but a guy who can play the passing lanes really well. He can read where the offense is going and then get his hand in there. He can tap guys from you from behind. He can get into the right position. He can disrupt plays just by doing that. He gets back on defense. I think he had a lot of big defensive plays in the finals against the UP Fighting Maroons. Yeah, so he's definitely a two-way player. He's one of the front runners for MVP. But I think for the upcoming season, he's without a doubt the best player in the UAAP. Maui, Sam.
Maui.
Yeah. Number one point guard from the previous year. I think, Gab, nilaban ko pa yan nung off-season last year that I think si Jacob Cortez should be ranked the number one point guard in the UAAP, and he did not disappoint. I think he showed during this season that last season that he was indeed the number one point guard. I think Kian Baclan did not stand a chance even if he did not get injured, and I think the Sal fans are fortunate to have him for one more season. A bit, I'm sure that he was an expensive player to keep for this season. Ang ganda kasi, di ba, it's a full circle moment for the Cortez family, di ba? Half a century ago, 25 years ago, si Mike Cortez was the one leading the way for that championship for Lasal. And I think there's no argument with the current UAP scoring system. If Lasal can end the season at top 2, I think Jacob Cortez is in a pretty good spot to win that MVP award. What I've liked the most during the preseason is he doesn't despite having the ball in his hands and despite being a score first guard, he doesn't force the issue. There were games during the preseason that he wasn't in double figures until the fourth quarter and had a couple of assists. I think that will be crucial for Lasal this coming season. I think he has to continue to improve as a playmaker. He's a pretty good playmaker, but I think if he can mix and match it the right way, I think players like Amos, players like Pablo, and the slashers will be able to elevate yung tough defense on him, because that box on one defense done by UP ng finals will be a common thing this season. Now that Lasal lacks another dominant ball handler like Kian Baclaan. But despite it all, I think he's in a pretty good spot to win the MVP award, and he was actually my 1A 1B top player for this coming season.
Yeah. I love the pick. I actually had Jacob Cortez as my number 2. I think Maui's referring to the guy I had number 1 as the 1A 1B. But when you explain, Gab, yung thinking behind your pick, I think it makes sense that you went with Jacob Cortez. Actually, when you mentioned that, sabi ko, I think he's going with Jacob. I think this guy you mentioned, yung clutch, Maui mentioned, I think very controlled guy. For me, what I want to highlight is this guy has brought the championship wherever he goes. He gave San Beda the championship. He moved to LaSalle and gave LaSalle the championship. So that's how good he is, diba? This is the type of guy, superstar, that you want on your team. A guy that can bring your team to the finals and give your team that championship. I think Jacob Cortez is a superstar in the UAP. Maui or Gab, you mentioned, they're lucky. LaSalle is lucky to have him this year because this guy is pro ready for sure.
Probably got a lot of bags. Or if you're talking about flood control, maleta.
Maleta no? Yun yung flood control team. This guy is pro ready. So what I like about him, and this is something that you see in a ton of highly skilled guys that are the best players in the UAAP, like they just have that switch. Alam mo, si 30, I remember then, he would cruise through the season, but he just has this switch and then he'll take over. That's what I see in Jacob Cortez, even from last year. Like, sometimes he can be passive, but if he needs to, he'll just turn that thing, switch on, he'll take over. And that, to me, is a sign of the best player on the floor and in the UAAP. So I love that pick. But I just went with someone different. Someone that I thought would dominate most of the people guarding him.
Okay.
I think something to note about Jacob Cortez then before we move on is, I think this is probably the first time in his career that he's not underestimated. Diba? Kasi when he played in UAP juniors, nobody wanted this guy. When he was going to seniors, again, nobody wanted this guy. This is the first time that he's really in the spotlight, and I think he will relish the opportunity. He'll be even better.
So, tama ba, Maui? You have him at number 1 as well?
Yeah, number 1 ko rin siya. Dalawa yung number 1 ko, hindi ako makapag-decide.
Okay, fine. Okay, sige. Just siguro a last point on Jacob Cortez. You the two of you guys have basically expounded well on what I just said. May isa pa eh. In every game, there is one play or one or two plays na your jaw will just drop. Diba? Jacob Cortez.
Yeah.
Ginawa niya yun.
Mga
diba?
slowdowns niya,
Ipareha sila nung daddy niya. That was what we were feeling.
Same, di ba? Yeah. Si Mike Cortez, had that also. There's just one or two plays in each game that you will just
Jaw-dropping plays.
yeah, jaw-dropping plays, hands in your head plays, mapapagano ka na lang if you're an Ateneo fan back then. But what the hell is this guy? Diba? So yeah, Jacob. Right, my number two, and Sam kind of alluded to him already. It's my MVP favorite and my MVP pick. It's Colin Sokoe. Now, maybe this is too high for some. Maybe he's to some he's only a second year player, or he's very, very limited to paint points. But you can't deny the dominance of this guy, and how much of a problem he causes to every single team in the UAAP. Uh, Even the size of the UP Fighting Maroons can't handle this guy. That's how dominant he is. UP is the biggest team, bar none. I think they have the biggest front line in the whole UAAP. And they still can't stop College Soccer. I do remember in Phil Oil, Sam, Maui, we were watching this. Si Miles was in foul trouble in the first quarter. He had like 3 fouls. Gary Stevens had 2. He drew 8 fouls in total from the centers of the UP Fighting Maroons in the preseason. That's how much of a problem this guy is. He's a walking double-double. He's gonna pile up numbers, uh, points, rebounds, blocks. Um, his free throw shooting has improved. Again, still iffy, but you can't deny the dominance.
Good
And
point.
yeah, he proved me
Wala Andre
wrong.
Drummond. Before
Oh,
he improves his free throws, he will shoot threes.
baka nga. So, uh, I, I think I've said so much already about Colin Sokoe. He's gonna deplete opposing teams' front line. He's he his attitude by all means is go get it attitude. He has that Mamba mentality each and every game. He wants to he wants to dominate the opposing team, especially when they get physical with him. He wants to dominate. He taunts, he shouts, he's very intense. I just find it really hard to find someone who's as dominant as Collins Okoe. And I think it's going to lead to a lot of wins. It's pretty obvious that he was the rookie of the year and maybe even should have been the MVP. I think he was second, tama ba, to Jan Ray last season. So, if all other things were equal, he should have been the rookie MVP last season. I think he has a good shot of being that again. Again, if you discount all of the things that the UAP does to count out FSAs. But best FSA in the UAP, bar none, most dominant player. UST has a good shot at a title as long as they have Colin Sokoe.
Yeah, so tama ka Gab. I had Collins Akowe as my number one. He was the guy I was referring to earlier. I think really if you could just describe him in one word, it's dominance talaga. Yung being dominant niya. Ito yung tunay na dominaton hindi si DeAndre Ayton. I think Collins Akowe is the most dominant and also the scariest FSA since Ben Embala. I think opposing teams will fear this guy every time they face him because he's just so big and powerful and skilled, highly skilled din siya in the post. Gab, you talked about like ano yung game niya against JRU, 30 and 20 ba? Something
30
like that.
and 33 points, 22 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
I'm not
What?
going to be surprised if he does a similar stat line in season 89. And what's scary is he's only coming into his second year, diba? So this is probably not going to be his best year. He could be even better later on, but he's already this dominant. And na-mention mo na Gabi, he's developing a three-point shot. Ingat na lang. Be careful, guys, kasi this is going to be a huge threat for, let's say, a UP or a LaSalle. I think UST could definitely fight for the finals, for a spot in the finals. especially if they're led by a dominant big like Collins Akoe, including a ton of really talented supporting cast, which I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are included in Gab's top 10 list. Let's find out. Maui.
Yeah, ako personally, I would still say that much like si Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I think I compared Colin Saccoe to multiple times. Giannis Antetokounmpo version of the UAAP. I think it would still be best if he focuses on the paint. Just because of what Gab mentioned. I think only si Mike Phillips and probably si Ben Mbala. If you have any other suggestions or any players that come into mind, only these people are the ones that have drawn probably more than 10 fouls a game or can consistently draw 10 fouls, and that spells trouble for any UAAP team. UAAP teams usually have one good FSA and one good backup. Diba? If you are able to draw more than 10 fouls, I mean, the numbers say it. One of those two, or maybe both, could be in foul trouble or could foul out during the game.
Do you remember when he took 35 free throws last year?
That was against UP, di ba? Di ba? Yung opening day ba? I think of the UAAP or opening week. Parang he drew, I
Yeah, I
think,
think
18 fouls.
I think it was 35 or 25. Something like, I think he did the same in the second round. He took
Parang. Meron
even in the
din.
final
Yeah.
four. Diba? I'm forgetting where in the final four or in the second round. You remember when USC choked away the game against UP? Collins took so many free throws.
Yeah, I think, to my point, I think that's the best strategy pa rin if you're talking about Colin Saccoe. Just because his teammates will also be able to get more free throws, diba, when they're aggressive. When Lemit drives to the lane, when Crisostomo gets an offensive rebound, gets fouled, they can get easy buckets, easy points. These players are good free throw shooters. I think si Lemit is a good free throw shooter. Si Asido is a good free throw shooter. So the other high usage guys will also benefit from Collins Akoe being able to draw these fouls. I think the word you describe, Rim, is dominant. I think that's the best thing you could say about Collins Akoe, and it's a bit scary what he will look like, di ba, in the coming years, barring any transfers outside of the UAAP or into another UAAP school, which could lessen his eligibility. But yeah, I think UST is in a pretty good position. A lot of people probably wrote them out, diba, when they lost two or three of their top players. But others have stepped up. Colin Saccoe is still getting better conditioning as I think as proof, 'di ba? Yung GRU game, he had a 30-20, another double overtime game. My most fond memory of Colin Saccoe was me and Gab watching in Blue Eagle Gym. I was telling Gab before halftime, Colin Saccoe is done. He's gassed. But lo and behold, they played 50 minutes during that game and was able to play until the double overtime. So yeah, I think si Colin Saccoe is in a pretty good spot. To be honest, if the UAP does not have that stupid rule preventing FSAs, I think this guy will probably fill a whole cabinet of with UAP awards. I think what's more entertaining to me is how he also is a big trash talker. He is very emotional. I
Oh,
think that's
grabe.
fun to
Tama.
watch. That's fun to watch when you're watching UAP, and it's surprising to me kasi 'di ba, Sam, we were able to see him and he looks like a very calm and quiet guy when Sam and I were able to see him in an event that we attended. So yeah, I'm excited to see how Colin Saccoe looks in year 2. UST did a pretty good job preparing him for year 1. Let's see what he will look like in his second season in the UAP.
Yep, curious where you're going next, Sultan of Sando. Gab?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, can you guys hear me? I think
Yep.
we
Whoa!
stop. All right. So
Mm.
at number three, this might be a bit high for some people, but I think he's going to have a big season in season 89. I think undoubtedly he is the best player in FEU. Sorry to the reigning MVP, Janray Pasaol, but I think Kirby Moncopa is set for a leap into things come together. I think with a season of UAAP basketball under his belt after his injury l- last season, um, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. He's gonna pile up numbers. Is FEU is gonna be one of the favorites to make it to the final four. He's gonna get heavy minutes from Coach Sean Chambers. Siguro not as heavy as Mo Konate, but he's gonna get heavy minutes. The ball is gonna be in his hand a lot. It's crazy. I think Kirby is also a two-way player, much like the two other guys on top of him. Uh, Two-way players. He's a very good positional defender. He's a very good shot blocker and steals guy. He can do everything on the court. Yeah, I'm surprised why Maui said whoa. I know Maui thought very highly of Kirby. Sige, Maui, go ahead.
Yeah, ang dami nagko-compare to Ryan Buenafed just because he is that all-around player for FPU. And I think it's a bit crazy, but true, that he is probably the best player in FEU despite FEU having the reigning MVP from last season. I think it's a make it or break it year for Coach Sean in FEU, and I think si Kirby Moncopa is in a very good position to have that breakout year after that very impressive rookie season. Despite missing 2 years from a freak accident, I think he's only scratching the surface of what he could be. I think he could be a very good player, especially if he continues to transition to the guard slash wing position versus an undersized power forward. I think he has that capability. I think he will continue to get better as he continues to get healthier and stronger after that incident. I probably had him at number 4 or number 5 with one of his teammates in consideration above him. But there's another player that I'm looking at for number 3. And that's why I reacted like that. But I think it's warranted. Kirby Mokopa could easily steal the MVP award, much like Pasaol did last season. Posting Kevin Garnett numbers. If there's an NBA fantasy basketball, if there's a UAAP fantasy basketball, I probably consider Mokopa as one of my top picks just because of his stat profile. He provides literally every stat that you could think of.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this guy is, and he's a two-way player. And I think I was a non-believer, and I was actually thinking that our friend si VJ Pre was exaggerating when he and was humble, trying to humble himself when he was saying that si Mukopa is a better player. But I think he was right. He was really telling the complete truth, and I think Mukopa will be a superstar in the UAP this year. Crazy to think that he will. I don't know if he's gonna exhaust that 5 years. I think he could potentially be a player to watch out. Maybe playing is second to the last season. I think in his third year it could be. If he wins the MVP award, who knows? That's how crazy the potential of this guy is.
Yeah. First of all, I love how Gab picked our three MVP picks in the top three. These are the three guys that we picked. If you haven't seen that episode yet, yung season 89 awards prediction namin. So, these were our three MVP picks. I actually picked him to be my MVP, but I do agree with Maui. I actually, in the top 10 player list, I put him as number 4. I was expecting a more experienced vet here in number 3, but I am not mad at this pick. I will just reiterate whatever I said also in that MVP pick. As Maui mentioned, this guy will stuff the stat sheets. In Phil Oil, he was second or one or two in pretty much every statistic of the team. Top two leader in points, rebounds, steals, assists, etc. Uh, this guy is coming in healthy and in good condition this coming season 89, which will give him a better head start. Last year, he did not look good. He looked really out of shape at the start of the season. Came off the bench, didn't get as much minutes during the start, but by the end of the season, Coach Sean Chambers, sabi mo nga Gab, could not uh, take this guy off the court because he needed him. So I expect a huge season 89 for Kirby Moncopa. I hope he's fully healthy. I hope he doesn't get injured. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. Sana hindi
Bawal
siya
mo na magmotor.
bawal muna magmotor. A guy that we were, really excited about for FEU that was sort of like the same build was Cholo Año Nuevo. We know what happened to his career. I do hope Kirby's injury is done. Injury history is done. He's fully healthy and he will stay healthy because this guy has a ton of potential to play abroad, to succeed, to play for Gilas. So I'm rooting for this guy.
Okay. At number 4, I think you guys will be surprised. But at number 4, I had Big Mo
Gaming.
Konate. Yes. Listen. Uh, Kirby might be the best player in FEU, but I think Mo Konate might be the most important one in FEU. And if it weren't for Colin Sokoe, and actually heading into last season, season 88, I remember we did our best FSAs ranking. I think we were all consistent. Mo Konate was number 1. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
it weren't for Colin Sokoe, he would be still the best FSA in the UAAP. Again, this guy is a walking double-double. He's played the most minutes in the UAAP for 2 straight seasons. He has not broken down yet. Hopefully he doesn't in the upcoming season. But
Workhorse.
yeah, he's a workhorse. And uh again, if he gets injured, I think that's the season for FEU. Because who is a proven backup big to Mo Konate? Now with Zayn Mahmoud, who's now gone, is not really a proven backup big. He's not even a proven big in the UAP. So they will go extremely small if they're without Mo Konate. I think he is very important to the FEU Tamaraos. Again, I think the FEU Tamaraos are one of the favorites for the Final Four. And I know you guys are thinking of a certain MVP. Maybe he was supposed to be here. But I'm sorry to John Ray. I think Mo Konate next to Kirby Moncopa is the more important player. John Ray might put up the stats and might run the offense next to Kirby, but Mo Konate is the anchor of that team. He anchors that defense. He's their interior presence, and the stats are there. I mean, he averages. I think he led the league in rebounds last season. Uh, not sure in blocks. No, he wasn't the league leader in blocks, but uh, this guy is just a good player. I think he's pretty underrated because he's next to guys like John Ray and to Kirby Moncopa. So I made sure to put him here at number 4 just to show you guys how highly I think of Mo Konate.
Yeah, I think hindi siya kasi as flashy, di ba? As a Colin Sakoe or maybe a Ben Mbala. He's more of an Ange Kwame Malik Diouf type of FSA
I was
who
gonna
does
say
his
that.
damage on the glass, who does his damage on the defensive end. harder to see yung level of dominance of a Mo Konate is probably the Joakim Noah of the FEU Bulls. If you're talking about playing your players to the ground. But yeah, I think when it comes to Konate, if there's a mantra that he can say in Tagalog, bawal mapagod pag di nagreklamo si Konate. Bawal magreklamong pagod. 'Di ba? Pag si Konate di nagreklamo. And he was actually the guy I was referring to that I think should be above Mongkopa just because of
Wow.
how
Okay.
much
Love it. Love
important
it.
I think he is. Kasi walang other choices eh, 'di ba? As you mentioned, I don't think si Shelton is good enough. Wala na sila Baguno. And I think that's the that's the biggest weakness of FEU right now. 'Di ba? That backup slot. And
Si Elias Gish daw. Elias Gish.
Shout
yeah,
out.
shout
Gilas.
out Gilas. But yeah, I think that's the where FEU will probably struggle the most if this guy gets into foul trouble or knock on wood gets injured. He'll probably still lead the league in rebounds because I don't see Coach Chan not playing him 32 to 35 minutes a game this season again just because he doesn't have a suitable backup. It's crazy that si Shelton still hasn't left. I remember last off-season we were talking about uh, making that choice to be Konate, and it would be ludicrous and crazy. Di ba? If si Konate wasn't the one to be chosen as the FSA. But yeah, si Konate plays championship basketball, just plays hard, doesn't uh, doesn't doesn't really complain despite playing heavy minutes and is very emotional when they're losing. The type of guy, the type of FSA that you want. And again, if the UAAP does not have that rule, he'd probably be head to head with Colin Chakoe for that MVP award because he probably grabbed 15 to 20 rebounds, block two shots. Yeah, I think si Konate is one of the most important players, if not the most important player for FEU. Crazy, diba? The previous MVP is probably the third or fourth most important player for FEU heading to the season.
I love that you showed si Mo some love. Maui. Akala ko this was gonna be high or a hot take pick at number 4. Pero apparently si Maui had him at number 3. Okay. Okay,
No, no,
Maui.
no, no.
Yeah.
I like it.
Wait, I had him at number 4. I had a different guy at number 3.
Okay, okay. Sige, sige. Oh,
So ahead,
Sammy, go
number
ahead.
4, ahead of Mongkopa, who is number
Yes, so
5,
who
diba?
is number 5?
Okay, okay, okay. Um, yeah, I do understand. I think for me, Mongkopa should be higher in terms of like best player, top player in FEU, but I do agree with you guys that he is probably the most important guy on the team because yun nga Gab, pag mawala si Konate as a big, wala na. This season is over. We've seen it happen to NUN Ateneo when they did not have an FSA or a playable FSA at least in Ateneo's case 2 seasons ago. So for FEU, it's the same thing. Konate is just so important to this team. I do agree he's probably the second best FSA next to Collins Akowe. Yeah, I just didn't have him in my top 5. He was in my 6-7 range.
Okay.
Hindi ko pa masabi kung right now he's 7. I think he's 7. Pwede naman 6, yeah. So, he's in my top 10. Um, I think maganda yung sinabi ni Maui. Hindi kasi siya as flashy or as dominant as like a Collins Akowe. So, you don't really notice yung contributions niya. Magugulat ka na lang he has like a double-double. Like, magugulat ka na lang na 15 points, 15 rebounds na siya or something like that. I had him lower also because there are a ton of talents in FEU this coming season. So, maybe he might not be relied upon as much offensively, but definitely the defense, the rebounding, just being the big man there for FEU, he's probably one of the most important, if not the most important, for the team.
So Sammy had him the lowest. Interesting. At number 5, I had, I think this is Maui's number 3. I'm not really sure, but I had Ray Remogat at number 5. So yeah, maybe he should have been higher. And I still love Ray Remogat's game. I think he's undoubtedly the number one option now for for UP. Again, I think UP is going to be one of the top teams. He's going to get a lot of wins. Uh, his 3-point shooting is very important. He's probably the longest range 3-point shooter in the UAAP. Maybe him and Humamoy have the longest range. Uh, he's the engine of that UP offense. He finds Gani Stevens a lot. He loves finding Gani Stevens. But yeah, the Radio Mocha pick and roll has become the bread and butter for the UP Fighting Maroons in the past season, and I think it will be the same thing here for this upcoming season. There is no more Harold Alarcon for the power struggle of of being the number one guy. It's just him now. The reason why I had him lower, and I know maybe some UP fans will have him higher, is I value two-way um, players. And as you see from my top 4, they're all two-way guys who bring it on the offensive end, but also don't give an inch on the defensive end. And Ray Mogat, if the finals is any indication, he's a target. He's a target on defense, and whenever Jacob Cortez or Makalalag or Abadam or Manasigan see Remogat yung in front of them, they'll be like, barbecue chicken, baby, let's go. And if it's any indication, because I bumped him down a little bit, also because I just watched UP's AUBL stint in the Asia University Basketball League, and again, Ray Remogat was a target. If you watch their losses, the Korean and the guards of Korean University, and I forgot the other team they played, but they were targeting Remogat, putting him in screen and roll actions nearly every play, and leading to so many either wide open threes or breakdowns in defense. He's just a target. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality that UP will have to play with. They will have to cover for Ray Mogat if they want to keep him on the floor. And with that flaw said, I still put him in my top 5 because I think his offense, his 3-point shooting, his shot making is still pretty important. And I think he will put up stats. He will put up assists. He will put up points. He'll hit. His free throw shooting will be pretty good. His 3-point percentage will be pretty good at times. He does go on cold streaks, but the defense is a question mark for me, which is why I bumped him down. Maui, was he your number 3?
Yes, he is my number 3 player, and yeah, I completely agree that he struggles on the other end of the floor, but that's how much I value him being the engine of that UP offense. I think we will finally see him being the centerpiece. Kasi last season, di ba, they struggled during the start. And I think they completely switched it to make him the centerpiece of their offense. This season, I don't think they have a choice. They really have to maximize, and they need a return on investment with that recruitment. Diba? So they have to maximize Remogat, and the best way to do that is to give the ball in his hands. Diba? I think this lineup is made for that. There are so many shooters, there are so many more slashers than they had in previous seasons. Diba? They've started si Iniguez also. Even some of their shooters are getting more minutes. And they recruited so many wing players, two-way wing players, 3-and-Ds. I think it was for the sole reason because they need to shield Remogat, diba, and hide him from the other end of the floor. But yeah, much like Cortez, he is one of the most exciting UAB players, and without a doubt, we will see jaw-dropping plays. Maybe long range bombs or crazy no look passes behind the backs, and I'm excited to see how it does. I think a lot of UP fans will be excited for this season that Ray Mogat has will be fully unleashed. But I cannot still put him outside above the others, because I think si Cortez and Akowe are two more important players, and I think they will. I don't know. I think right now, I think they could be the finalists for this coming season. Let's see. But UP is still, without a doubt, the number one team, and they're still the deepest team. And for that alone, I cannot put in the number one player or the number two player, which is why I settled with him as my number three pick.
So essentially, Maui, we had the same top five. Iba lang yung arrangement. We had
Order.
Remogar at
Yeah.
3 and Mokopa at 5. Tama ba? Okay.
Tama,
Sammy,
sakto.
where do you
Um,
have Noy?
I had him as number 3. So, ito yung guy that I was referring to kanina na I expected a vet star over Kirby Moncopa at number 3. Maui sort of mentioned it na parang he's one of the best guards in the UAAP and the best player of the best team, one of the best teams this coming season 89. So, I think that sort of puts him up there as one of the top players if you're leading one of the best teams. So pretty much na-mention nyo na lahat. This is another guy, just like Jacob Cortez kanina I mentioned, that we were hearing was getting recruited abroad already. So there were some news about that even before he started playing for UP. So this is a guy that is pro ready, that can play the pros already, but he's playing in the UAP, so I think he can still dominate offensively. But I do understand, Gab, yung issues mo with yung pagiging defensive liability niya. But I still put him as number 3. Yung number 5 ko wala pa dito sa top 5. We'll see.
Yeah, I understand naman why you had him that high. But ako, sobrang glaring kasi nung defensive liability. Yung his defensive problems are a big thing for me.
Deficiencies.
Yeah, his defensive deficiencies. Thank you, Sammy. It became apparent in the finals last season, and in fact, I think there were moments in games 2 and 3 where Coach Gold pulled him off the floor. I think I do
You have to
remember
sit him down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yung in a key stretch in game 3, he took out Trimogat, who I think had just given them the lead and off a 3-point shot, and he took him out because he was being targeted on the defensive. Either he was being targeted or something was not right, but he was on fire, and then Coach Gold yung took him out. So yeah, he has someone that UP has to plan their defense around, because he has to be on the floor for offensive purposes, but on defense he poses a problem. All right, guys, I think due to the length of this episode, we will have to split this into 2 because we're going at 48 minutes already. But this is my top 5 for the upcoming UAP season 89. Again, Jacob Cortez at 1, Collins Akowe at 2, Kirby Moncopa at 3, Mo Conante at 4, and Ray Mogat at 5. All right. If your favorite player was not here, they might be in the 6 to 10 range. So stay tuned for that in our upcoming part 2. We didn't plan for a part 2, but we're gonna have a part 2. Sammy, you can go ahead and sign us off.
Thank you everyone for listening. Please comment down below your thoughts, your picks from top 1 to number 5 for the top players this coming season 89. And stay tuned for part 2 of this episode. We'll see you again next time. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Bye-bye. Ingat.